Hi, I'm Richard Rowe. I'm 40 years old, from England. Used to work for a management consultant in London, or based in London, so spent about 10 years in Malaysia, Hong Kong, Bangkok, mostly working on projects. About a year ago, 18 months ago, I resigned my job from Hong Kong to take part in a round-the-world yacht race. This was the BT Global Challenge organised by Che Blythe. I applied 3-4 years ago and had been 150th on the waiting list and really just forgotten about it, apart from trying to get my £100 deposit back. And then 3 months before the race started in September '96, I got a fax saying there was a place, and I gave up my job and joined the race. So the race was 14 boats, identical boats, 42-ton steel yachts, going the wrong way round the world. So from Southampton to Rio, Rio to Wellington, Wellington to Sydney, Sydney Cape Town, Cape Town Boston, and Boston back to Southampton. So 10 months in all. We left 29th of September from Southampton in a force 9 gale, so we were straight into it from the start, down through the Bay of Biscay, down through the Atlantic, the tropics, so it actually got a bit warmer and better, and into Rio. Rio was very pleasant, very well looked after, and then from there into the unknown of the Southern Oceans, so 2 weeks down the American coast, and then round Cape Horn. In fact, we had a reasonable crossing round Cape Horn, because we were about 200 miles south of the Horn when we went round, but even so still in 4 or 5 metre waves, and in fact across the Southern Ocean quite often could get 8-10 metre waves. Weren't unusual, pretty rough, but sailing, it was just, you just got used to it. We got storms, sometimes 40-50 knots, but generally 20 to 30 knot winds, generally 4 to 5 metre waves, so not unmanageable, and as long as you're clipped on and just learnt how to keep yourself on the deck, then in a way a big challenge. I wouldn't say necessarily enjoyable, but looking back, yes, a great experience, but a bit cool at times, a bit damp, but I had a lot to do, helming, foredeck. Occasionally very quiet periods in the Southern Ocean, so we had, when we got near to Wellington, 2 days out from Wellington, absolute flat calm, looking at the moon in the water, reflecting in the water, and the weather forecast was for a hurricane to come through in 24 hours with sea state turning to phenomenal, whatever that means, and sure enough, 24 hours later we were being hurled around all over the place, not flat once, and that was quite an experience. And then into Wellington. I think the worst bit of the race was probably probably the interesting part of the race, Sydney to Cape Town. This is going through the areas where people like Bullimore got into trouble on the Vendée Globe race, going in the other direction, where they turned upside down. We hit very, very bad weather there. The worst winds were about 70 knots, just only for about 12 hours, but still bad. Typically, as I say, 8 to 10 metre waves. The largest wave I saw was 15 metres, where you're staring up at this huge wall of water, just wondering how the hell the boat's going to climb over the top of it. And the crest is rolling, you know that's going to come roaring down the boat. And you just duck, and everything goes black, and then it settles, and you stand up and pull the helm over and get back on the wind again, and off you go, and go careering down the next wave. But quite fun. A lot of the waves are fairly steep, meaning that you can climb up one side and then there's just nothing the other side, so 42 tons of yacht just goes sailing into free fall, and one hell of a crash. The skipper comes on deck and says, "Who's on the helm? Why are you crashing the boat?" Not much more I can say. It's an endurance. I think like any of these long crossings, whether you're crossing the Antarctic, which Matsuru is planning to do, or sailing around the world, the big challenge is the endurance. It's cold, you are damp, you're doing watches 4 hours on, 4 hours off, so you don't get a lot of sleep. You're taking your turns at cooking, cleaning, everything. So you've just got to keep the boat moving, and it's teamwork and endurance. Every day seems like about 3 days long, because you keep moving to sleep, you're up, you work, you go back to sleep, you get up, you work, and you just lose track of time. But a great experience. And then I have a friend here, Steve Pinfield, who's the camp manager here, and he found me an opportunity to come and visit the Antarctic. So while I'm not working, I had a bit of time to spare, so I've come down here and then back to England end of January and start thinking about what I'm going to do next. But this is an incredible place. The Antarctic is just amazing. People describe it to you, but until you see it, it's just absolutely incredible. Even just things like 24 hours daylight. I was expecting to see the sun just on the horizon, and there it is, 10, 11 o'clock sort of position in the sky all the time. You can go to bed 2 o'clock in the morning and it's just brilliant sunshine, and there's the sun up in the sky. The brilliant white of the place, the bit up on the mountains, just the quietness of the place, and then other times you hear the wind whistling. It's beautiful, it's just unspoilt, it just goes on for miles. It's sort of awe-inspiring. Maybe we'll see a storm and then really understand what the place is like. Thank you.